I would like to present you who in the status that you hold, you are truly the gods of the earth. And therefore, it is important that you know your position so that you can carry out the mandates that has been written for you. Yahweh truly loves us. And I would like to open this up with reading in Jeremiah. Jeremiah 31, starting at 31. Behold, the day cometh, said Yahweh, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Yehuda, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break. Although I was a husband unto them, said Yahweh, but this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, said Yahweh, I will put my Torah in their inner parts and write it in their hearts, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. These are very uplifting words to understand these times that we're living in. And it's up to the Kohen, the rabbi, whoever is teaching. As most of you know, one of my favorite is comfort, Nakamawa, to comfort my people, to tell them it's all right. So it's very important to me to do that, to bring comforting words, true words. And in that day you shall say, Yahweh, I will praise you, though you were angry with me. Your anger is turned away, and you comfort me. Behold, Allah is my salvation. I will trust and not be afraid. For Yahweh is my strength and my song. He also is my salvation. Therefore, with joy shall you draw waters out of the wells of salvation. And in that day shall you say, praise Yahweh. Call upon his name, declare his doings among the people. Make mention that his name is exalted. Sing unto Yahweh. For he has done excellent things, this known in all the earth. Cry out and shout, you inhabitants of Zion, for great is the Holy One of Israel in the midst of you. So I am truly uplifted to bring this message and to have our speaker to talk about the new moon in such a way to elevate us, that will comfort us. So, Butterfly, please, you've always given us such information, and that information is truly enlightening and to incur within each and every one of us a stability in our lives. So, Butterfly, may you give us our lesson as you have always done with such elegance and scholarly. So we thank you for all the days, all the times that you've come and all the things that you have said. And may the spirit of Yahweh continue to bless you and your family forever. Amen.
Khan, Toda Rabbi, glory to you who are most high. Vayakana Awa Amaya Ashura Nakwara Shemaya Ahlaya Hama Wayata Palalawa Wayabakwa Shawa Panaya Ya Wayashabawa Madarakaya Hama Harayama Wa'anaya Ashma'a Mana Hashamayama wa asalacha lachata adama wa arapa ata aratsama. And my people, upon whom my name is called, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their evil ways, then I shall hear from the heavens and forgive their sin and heal their land. Blessed be the name of Yahuwah, excellent in all the earth. We praise you, Almighty Yahuwah, the Elohim of our father Abraham, the Elohim of our father Yeshachak, the Elohim of our father Yaakov, the mighty one of Yasharal. We serve you, O Yah, and you, O Yah, shall bless our bread and our water and remove sickness from our midst. Shemot 23:25. Heal us, O Yah, and we will be healed. Save us, O Yah, and we will be saved. For you are our praise. Hallelujah. Greetings. Shalom Aleichem, beloved Banim and Banut, sons and daughters of Yaakov. That is Yasharal, upright of Elohim, the prevailers with Elohim. Special greetings and humble thanksgiving to Rabbi, his lovely wife, children, siblings, and family, and lifting up Rabbi's daughter, Sean, and her dynamic accomplishment in achieving of her doctorate. Though she made it look easy, she put her time, toil, and tenacity into the goal that she set forth, and having now seen it come to fruition, bless Yah. Mashal, Proverbs 21:5a. The plans of the diligent lead only to profit. May Yahuwah guide her as she returns her great achievement back to him. And Yahuwah continue to show her and her household favor as she lights the way and inspires others. Yahuwah, I ask your blessing, mercy, and forgiveness upon the Yasharun in our striving, upon each individual in this assembly and your households, to our marriages and families, upon our elders, our babies, our children, teens, young adults, our mothers and fathers in waiting with child, and blessings upon the child within them yet to be born. And bless our babies that shall be, but have not yet even been conceived. Bless, O Yah, Yasharel in the diaspora, and cleanse our land, O Yah. Heal our land, O Yah. Purify our land, O Yah. Restore our land and its bounty, O Yah. Return us to our land, O Yahuwah. The land which you swore to our fathers, to Abraham, to Yishachak, and to Yaakov, to give to them and their seed after them. Tabarim 1:8. I pray that you and your households are safe, well, prosperous, and content, whether you abase or abound. Yahuwah bless and forgive our righteous ancestors even now, and bless our righteous ancestors that are recently transitioned. Erase from them the traumas of this life, and bless their passage into the next realm with comfort, joy, and shalom, until that great and terrible day when we shall see you face to face. Corinthians left, 1 Corinthians 13:12a. For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Yeshana Barakabashem Yahuwah Hosanna. Blessed is the one who comes in the name of Yahuwah. So welcome to the New Moon Assembly. New Moon Assembly. This is the third new moon or the third month of the year. The post-Babylonian name is Siyun, or we see it as Sivan, Samek Yod Wa Nun. Hebrews 55:10 in Strong's defines it as meaning brightness and month of flowers. The third new moon of the year appears around the 5th month on the Gregorian sun calendar. The month of May is named for Maya, or Maya, which is a Roman earth goddess of growing plants. In the third new moon, we have the appointed observance of Ha Shabbat, or the Feast of Weeks, or Festival of the Harvest, or First Fruits. This should not be mistaken for Pentecost, which means 50th, and is an extension of Easter, a Hellenized festival, a subtle imposter of Ha Sabayeth. One might even say a wolf in sheep's clothing. And as a side note, that penta, meaning 5, is frequently used in Greco-Roman empire culture that is direct adverse to the culture of Yahuwah, as in pentagon, pentagram, pentateuch, etc. Massey, Acts 21:28c says, he also brought Greeks into the set apart place and has profaned this set apart place. Knowing so then, in all things, even as it pertains to Yahuwah's appointed feasts and folly days of this world, beware of the false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are savage wolves. Mathat Yahu, Matthew 7:15. We tend to only notice the person or a person as a false prophet, but we should also discern the false prophecy, improve all things, and take that which is good. That can be in feast days, food, medicine, apparel, music. False prophecy just needs a small opening. Therefore, in as much as we know, in as much as we know too, we should look at the term of our of the culture of Abraham, Yishachak, and Yaakov, and Yahusha, until that time when Yahuwah returns us to our pure tongue, our pure language. Zephaniah 3:9. So how do we determine who and what is a false prophet? Yeshayahu 8:20 says, to the Torah and the witness, if they do not speak according to this word, is because they have no light. Then what is light? Yah's word. Salahim, Psalms 119:05. Yahuwah's word is a lamp to our feet and a light to our path. Hashabayeth, Shabi means 7th, relative and consistent with Shabbat. If you listen for the prefix, it is known as the Feast of Weeks. And regarding the Nupa, or wave sheaf, Wikara, Leviticus 23:9-11, and Yahuwah spoke to Mashah, saying, speak to the children of Yasharal And you shall say to them, when you come into the land which I give you, and shall reap its harvest, then you shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest to the priest, and he shall wave the sheaf before Yahuwah for your acceptance. On the morrow after the Shabbat, the priest waves it. So the Nufa or wave sheaf has already occurred after the Shabbat that occurs during Hamatzut, or the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Now, Zabarim, Deuteronomy 16, 9 through 12, count 7 weeks for yourself. Begin to count 7 weeks from the time you begin to put the sickle to the grain. And you shall perform the festival of Shabbat to Yahuwah your Elohim, according to the voluntary offering from your hand, which you give as Yahuwah your Elohim blesses you. And you shall rejoice before Yahuwah your Elohim, you and your son and your daughter, and your male servant and your female servant, and the Levite who is within your gates, and the stranger and the fatherless and the widow who are in your midst, at the place where Yahuwah your Elohim chooses to make his name dwell. And you shall remember that you are in bondage in Matzarim, and you shall guard and do these laws. Keeping in mind that although Hashabayat is in the 3rd month, its observance is not counted by the monthly calendar, but is marked as the 7th week following the Nufa wave sheaf. And you can follow up your reading in Wa'ikra, Leviticus 23, 6 through 16 to further your study. Hashabayat, Feast of Weeks, is one of 3 times of the year that all males appear before Yahuwah. Shamut, Exodus 23, 14, 16, 19a. 3 times in a year you are to celebrate a festival to me, the festival of the harvest, the first fruits of your labors, which you have sworn in the field. Bring the first of the first fruits of your land into the house of Yahuwah, your Elohim. Devarim, Deuteronomy 16, 16, and 17. 3 times a year, all your males appear before Yahuwah, your Elohim, in the place which he chooses, at the festival of Matzah, unleavened bread, and at the festival of Shabbat, weeks, and at the festival of Sukkot, booths, tabernacles, tents. And none should appear before Yahuwah empty-handed, but each one with the gift of his hand, according to the blessing of Yahuwah, your Elohim, which he has given you. Hashabayat Feast of Weeks, in my earnest estimation, will occur at sunset on the 6th day of the 3rd month, commonly identified eve to eve as June 4th and 5th. In agricultural, the agrarian society, the wave sheaf was the first sheaf of barley presented to Elohim, but the main harvest or first fruits harvest is that of Hashabayat. This is the time period when the wheat and barley come into harvest, and a time of great rejoicing. Praise Yah for the gift of harvest. The harvest is cut, bundled, and tied in sheaves, loaded onto donkeys to be transported to the threshing floor. The wheat is loosed from the stalks, and the straw or stalks are stored to feed the animals in the winter, and the wheat is also stored. And farmers also pay debts and taxes with the grain. Um, there are many short videos of modern and ancient remnants of wheat threshing. Uh, in that economy, you will see family, community, labor, recreation, and exercise, preparation, reverence, obedience, education, togetherness, family order, all in one. Um, I'm going to put in when I'm done, I'll put it in the chat. But there are a couple that I thought were good. They're short. Ancient way of wheat thresher. It's a 6-minute, 13-second video, and hand threshing with sickle, skeeve, and flail. And that's a 5-minute video, but it's worth taking a review of. Please take a look at these and a few others in order to tap into yourself and to use these as tools to trigger the memories that are imparted in our DNA, waiting for us to remember and waiting for our reacquaintance and eager for a response. Yasharel, who were agricultural geniuses in this land. We brought our agrarian skill and prowess to this land and gave it the wealth it continues to enjoy. Largely due to the association of agriculture with the inhumane and barbaric chattel enslavement, the Yasharoon are less than 1% of agricultural producers. The plow and the sickle was turned in for designer suit and tie. And what is now a $1 trillion industry has been taken over by an oppressive class that once previously had no knowledge or history of working the land. For those who have young college-bound children, let them consider options in agriculture. It's a huge business that does not only have to do with dirt and labor, but all areas of business, finance, journalism, technology, transport, service, repair, etc. And in many cases, there are grants sitting untouched for this field because of a lack of knowledge. Even if there's one of our idle young who would consider this, that one can turn into many. And if you ever see a lion with his belly full, his prey can walk right past them. And unless they pose a safety threat to the pride, they will probably leave with their life and just some admonishment. But they will not be randomly devoured if the lion is already satisfied. I say that to say, because children, is a place for the young adults. And it is a huge place in agriculture. It's a lot of gaps, there's a lot of need there. And if we could just help one, maybe the word will get out, because there's a lot of restless lions out here that are hungry. We must trace our steps back to the garden prior to transgression so that we can move forward. Our children are our hope for the future. They have so many options that they are generally not exposed to. Yahuwah says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Huesha, Hosea 4:6. Yahuwah is our shepherd, and we stand in need of nothing. Elohim, Psalms 23:1. And my Elohim shall fill all your need according to his riches in esteem by Mashiach. Yahusha. Philippines 4:19. So it's not for a lack of resources because Yahuwah provides, but lack of knowledge. The agrarian field would not only economically benefit our families, but would trigger our ancient selves and bring back order to our household and to the land. We have these times that are appointed where we can gather up and share information and help to move one another forward. Praise Yah for New Moon Assembly. So some things that have taken place on the third month, some of which will include the Ha-Shabbat, the Feast of Weeks. Jubilees 1:1. And it came to pass in the first year of the exodus of the children of Yasharel out of Matzarim, in the third month, on the 16th day, the Elohim spoke to Moshe, saying, "Come up to me on the mount. I will give thee 2 tablets of stone of the law and of the commandment, which I have written, that you may have teach them." And in the Samaritan Chronicle of Yahushua, Joshua, chapter 28, the messenger executed his orders on the 10th day of the second month of the 21st year of the reign of the children of Yasharel, after their entrance into this territory. And he arrived on the 5th day of the week, the morrow being the day of El Mikra, the convocation, that is the Feast of Weeks. Yael or Joel 2:28-29. And after this it shall be that I pour out my spirit on all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Oh, your old men dream dreams, your young men see visions. And also on the male servants and on the female servants I shall pour out my spirit in those days. In the Habrit HaChadashah, regarding the Ruach HaKadosh, the set apart spirit, Yahusha states in Yehochanan 14:26, the helper, the set apart spirit, whom the Father shall send in my name, he shall teach you all and remind you of all that I said to you. In Ma'eshi, Acts 2:1, and when the day of the festival of Shabbat had come, they were all one, with one mind in the place. Now, observance continued in the day of Shaul. This is the note. Many groups quote Paul as a reason not to keep the set apart appointed times. But Shaul, the Benjamite, rushed to keep these days. In Mashi Acts 20:16, for Shaul had decided to sail past Ephesus so that he might lose no time in Asia, for he was hurrying to be at Jerusalem, if possible, on the day of the festival of Shabbat. And the day of the festival of Shabbat was kept recorded as far ago as Noach and Adam, as Bereshit 8:14 and 9:21 lets us know that Yahuwah reestablished his law, an eternal covenant with Noach that he made with Adam. And in Bereshit 9:21, the festival where Noach drank wine and became drunk, Jubilees 6:17 identifies that festival as Ha-Shabbat, the Feast of Weeks. Noting that Noach is approximately 16 generations before Mashiach. Some say these are the feast of Mashiach. And he is the 10th generation from Adam, where the covenant was first established. So these are not the feast of Mashiach. but the appointed times of Yahuwah established within Yahuwah's covenant with Adam and before the foundations of the earth. Also recorded in the book of Yobel or Jubilees 16:12. In the middle of the 6th month, Yahuwah visited Shirah and did to her as he had spoken, and she conceived. And she gave birth to a son in the 3rd month, in the middle of the month, at the time of which Yahuwah had spoken to Abraham, on the festival of the first fruits of the harvest, Yishahak was born. So Jubilees records that Yishahak, Isaac, father Isaac, was born on Shabbat, which occurred in the 3rd month. Hallelujah. So before I close, just in terms of current events, last year this time there was a gas shortage. And this year gas is $5 plus per gallon. And even with this being the case, I want to just suggest to the family that you keep your tanks full. We must prepare for war in a time of peace. During the feast and days of plenty, we must use only what we need and store the excess away for famine that is sure to come. There's nothing new under the sun. Therefore, it is not if, but when. But Yahuwah has laid it out for the apple of his eye. Now, anyone, you don't have to be the Yasharun, anyone that is adhering to Yah's perfect instruction, whether they are of the Yasharun or not, whether they are believers or not, they're going to be successful and well prepared. Therefore, Mattathiyahu 10:16 says, be as crafty, shrewd, cautious as serpents, and innocent as doves. Keep a supply of dry beans. Dry beans are very rugged and versatile. They can be ground for flour, cooked as beans, made into soup or burgers. They can be sprouted. If you store rice, oats, and other dry goods, store them with bay leaves to protect your goods from bugs. Store water and drink water. Exercise. Our forefathers and mothers were strong-bodied and fit. Not that they went to Zumba classes, but they worked the land. They walked. They went to the water. Father Abraham and the sons of Jacob were warriors. And you can read Mashal, Proverbs 31:10-31, to see the description of the Yasharun women, the Israelite women. When you see the wheat threshing videos, you'll see the fitness is in the culture and the lifestyle. Get sun and air. And we need to sweat to keep the lymphatic system flush. If you eat fruits and vegetables and limit it to no meat and keep up a good hygiene program, you would not need underarm deodorant or antiperspirant. We need to perspire. And if you are a meat eater, according to the allowance made in Torah, take the time to chew small bites of your meat to liquid before swallowing. Wash your fresh vegetables thoroughly. I soak my fruits and vegetables in clear vinegar and water. These are small things to consider and implement just from day to day. When we put one talent to work, it will increase. And with each increase, there's a greater increase. But one thing to start. And also, if you are on medication, type or write out a complete list of your conditions with all the medications that you're on, milligrams and dosage. Make sure your name and date of birth is on it, and keep it clearly marked and accessible uh, in an envelope or container in case someone has to speak for you in the event of an emergency. And give yourself daily sessions of deep cleansing breath. Breath is life. And stay alert and aware of your surroundings. And Yahuwah bless, protect, guide, and direct you and your households always. I'm closing with this scripture. However, all those who devour you shall be devoured. And all your adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity. And those who exploit you shall be exploited. And all who prey upon you, I shall make a prey. For I, Yahuwah, restore health to you and heal you of your wounds, declares Yahuwah. For they have called you out an outcast, saying, this is Sion. No one is seeking her. Thus said Yahuwah, see, I turn back the captivity of Jacob's tents and have compassion on his dwelling places. And the city shall be built upon its own mound, and the palace stand on its right place. And out of them shall arise thanksgiving and the voice of those who are laughing. And I shall increase them, and they shall not diminish. And I shall esteem them, and they shall not be small. And his children shall be as before, and his congregation shall be established before me. And I shall punish all who oppress them. Yeram Yahu, Jeremiah 30:16-20. Thank you, Torah Rabbah. Thank you kindly. Remember to remain mute your mics as we welcome Rabbi, as he brings us a lesson on today and tomorrow. Shalom.
Shalom. And I want to thank you, Butterfly, for that information that of the new moon that gives us a definite insight of the movement of the earth, how we stayed from illness. And I thank you so much. And may the Spirit bless you and your family, and may your knowledge continue to increase. Thank you. I would like to start with saying that you are a very precious group of people, and Yahweh truly loves you. And I really tried to bring this to where it lives in you. You have all the answers. It's just somebody has to just reach in there and tap into. So I'm not tapping in something that is not there, it's there. To know what tomorrow will bring, to know this is what we have, the greatest book, which is the Tanakh, so that we might know. And prophecy, writings of the Torah tells the 12 tribes of Israel what tomorrow will bring forth. This is when you open up the book, Yahweh is saying something to you, to you. It's your law. And everybody is privileged to law. If you go to Boston, they have their law. So Yahweh never hid the law. The law was always there. Strangers could come and dwell among us. The 12 tribes of Israel has taken every hidden blow our enemies has put on them. Why? Because as it says in Psalm 10, verse 8, he sitteth in the lurking places of the village. In the secret places does he murder the innocent. His eyes are privately set against the poor. So our total health is in the words of Yahweh. To know what tomorrow shall bring for us and how things work. We are living in a time of indecision and confusion. We will not have answers, nor will we find any answers without proper moral behavior. All answers are found in moral behavior. Do not prostitute your daughters to cause her to be a whore, lest the land falls to whoredom and the land becomes full of wickedness. This is an act that would bring about a circumstances of wickedness in the earth. And he tells you, do not do that. That's Leviticus 19, verse 24. You shall not lie with mankind as with womankind. It is an abomination. Neither shall you lie with any beast to defile yourselves with, neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down thereto. It is confusion. Defile not yourselves in any of these things, for in all these the nations are defiled, which I cast out before you. And the land is defiled, therefore I do visit the iniquities there upon it. And the land will vomit out the inhabitants. So this act that we're seeing of improper moral behavior will create a circumstances by which the Torah is enlightening us. Is that there shall be no whore of the daughters of Israel, nor a sodomite of the sons of Israel. He's telling these things should not be done because it brings about, you say, oh, there's nothing wrong with that. There's everything wrong with it. Because when you do not have proper moral behavior, you're not going to think clear. You understand? You have to understand is that, but I want to explain, even though we live in this vacuum of abomination, how we can overcome and how we're overcoming it. So that's Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 17. These acts are serious because they bring about the circumstances that we're living in. It says, thus said Yahweh of hosts, behold, evil shall go forth from nation to nation, and a great whirlwind shall be risen up from the crust of the earth. Jeremiah 25, verse 32. This we are seeing right before our eyes, and you say to yourself, no matter what is happening, how will I overcome? How will I labor to make sure that though I'm in the midst of it, I will be whole? Yahweh has always told the 12 tribes of Israel what was going to take place on the earth in the writings and prophecy. Isaiah 29, verse 11, and the vision of all is come unto you in the words of a book. He says, I'm setting this so that you might know, because you are the gods of the earth. And therefore, you must know when he came to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, he says, should we hide this from Abraham, knowing his status? Yahweh has not hid anything from us. It's there. It's just that how we're being taught. And therefore, if you take a book, he says, I've written them of great things, but they think these things are nothing. So they cast it aside. The Torah, the Tanakh, is the greatest source of information. There's no book like it. And when I come before you, I come to give you something so that you might grow and that you might prove it for yourself. He says, and Yahweh has always told the 12 tribes of Israel what would happen. Behold, the former things will come to pass, and new things do I declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them. This is why we read the prophecy to know what will happen. And who will Yahweh tell? He said, among the tribes of Israel, I have made known that which shall surely be. No one can interpret this book when the Ruach is on that person, woman, on the 12. He said, among the tribes of Israel, he's telling you who is going to interpret it. It's not this throne at anybody. You. It's you. It's your book. It is the vision of all in the words of a book given to you. So if you, when we look on Facebook and the young girls and all that stuff, the muscles and the games, that's all gone. Whether you got a degree in whatever you got a degree, if you don't have a degree in righteousness, it's not gonna work. Put on your clothes, sit down at the greatest book and open it up and labor into it so that you will have substance. But I will have mercy upon the house of Judah and will save them by Yahweh their God, and will not save them by bow, nor by sword, nor by battle, nor by horsemen, nor by horses. He says, he told him, he didn't say Israel. He said, because Judah went into the neck of her enemy. So what is going to happen to him? He said, he has no power to stand before his enemy. You say, what? He said, he has none. But Yahweh said, he said, I'm going to save them. He said, behold, I will have mercy upon the house. Now that word house is a very important, the house of Israel. They always say that, and there's a reason for that. A house contains things. The thing about it is this, we are a people of such greatness that we don't need, our greatest weapon is obedience and serving Yahweh according to how he has prescribed it. You ain't got no weapon. You ain't got no army. And you are protected because Zadik is your weapon. Righteousness comes. See, righteousness stills fear. But you got to study it. When you really read that Tanakh, you say, oh, wow, I can't die. It leads, you say, but you say, I can see it on the page. It's saying something to me in between the sentence and the words. I can't die. Because Zadik is the master house that you have entered in. You can't enter in because you have to enter it by keeping the commandments. There's no other way you can do it. So he told him, he said, Judah, you ain't got no defense, but I'm your defense. I'm gonna save you. Leave the weapons alone and be obedient to the commandments of Yahweh God. The wicked has swallowed many people, and now the wicked has started to swallow themselves. It's been my approach to introduce the congregation of Yah and me into the study of Torah, prophecy, and history from a big biblical perspective. That's my alternative. That's what I am about doing. Right now, there's some serious stuff coming on this earth, and I want to prepare you to deal with it. Because if I'm going to be the rabbi or the teacher, and I don't come to help you, find somebody else and find a source of information, because it's a lot of trouble, but trouble to who? It ain't my trouble. See, stop taking trouble that is not yours, that Yahweh has called you to peace, and you say, oh, my trouble, it ain't mine. I wasn't out there when Moses and my ancestors was doing what they did. I ain't sin. Where did I sin at? I'm the generation, we're the generation putting things together. And I'll prove that to you, but let me go on here. It says here, and this is coming about in Zechariah chapter 5, verse 3 and verse 4. This is a serious talk about the flying road. This system has said they're flying saucers. At one time, people have lost their jobs. They've been called lunatics. Now you have the system saying they're flying saucers. But what are these flying saucers about? You understand? Because if they told you about these sources or where it's prescribed in Zechariah as a role, it says, thus, then said he unto me, this is the curse. Those flying saucers are cursed. There ain't no blessing unless in this word here is wrong. It says, this is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. So it's a curse. Why is it that? In Zechariah chapter 3 and Zechariah chapter 4, it says, I will bring it forth, said Yahweh of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief. These people have stolen something that they should never have put their hand on, and that's you. And Yahweh said, he said, I'm going to send this menace into you, and they're going to destroy you. See, they're telling you all these flying sources, but they ain't telling you the Bible, this source of information that Yahweh has told you. Yahweh has always told the 12 tribes of Israel what was going to take place on the earth. This is the thing he said. So everybody about flying saucers, let me explain. That's not my problem. And don't make it yours. They're not after you because you ain't stole nothing. You are what was stolen and taken a total advantage of. And Yahweh has sent these things, and look, as long as they stay where they're at, I'm cool with it. It has nothing to do with me. I'm not getting involved in that stuff. And I'm telling you, if you get involved, don't add me in it. Yahweh did not tell me to get involved in it and not told me to tell you to get involved in it. And Yahweh said, I will bring it forth to Yahweh of hosts. He said, he is doing this. He said, I'm doing this. And they were never supposed to come into this sphere. But you understand, you touched something you should have left alone. And that was the 12 tribes of Israel, that y'all continue to do mischief to these people. These are the people you stole from the continent of Africa. Now look, brothers and sisters, prove me wrong. Got my telephone number and tell me I'm wrong. These things are here. Ain't got nothing to do with me. And I keep telling people, hey, look at that. It doesn't bother me because it doesn't pertain to me. What pertains to me is to keep the commandments. What pertains to me is to know what is about me. Whatever happens in America, they ain't coming to save you, brothers and sisters. They're not coming. Now, you have to enter into Zadik, which is what? The pavilion of your safety. They are building tunnels under the ground. They got places where they're going to be safe. Where's your safety at? Tell me, I want to hear it. What you gonna tell me about some karate and you got man with muscles? Hey, push that aside. If you ain't got righteousness, you ain't got muscle. So as it goes to say, Torah, prophecy, writings has many amazing things. And one of them is Yahweh chose a people. What are these people? He just didn't choose a people. He said, the people he chose is the center. It is the centrifugal force of this planet. And that's why he gave the number 12. He didn't just say, well, he ain't give nobody else. He says, you are so important. They can't do nothing without you. And as they try, you see how it's coming. What weapon have you had? You have a great love for America. America has to start having love for himself and not mess with these people that they went and got, their offspring. You know where they at. They kept excellent records. They know exactly who you are. Do you know, but anyway, I'll get back to that. The 12 tribes of Israel represents the presence of Yahweh on the earth. We are the presence, we present Yahweh. He says, through these people, I will get my glory. You're going to throw yourself away. No other book tells that, not the Quran. You can't find me no book that tells you who you are, and nobody can prove it different. And what it is, you know what they do? They say, well, let's just mind our business and see what they do with it. This place, the whole planet, is under total judgment. You can see it. The great waters are polluted. The food is polluted. The air is polluted. You know, they're passing legislation that doesn't make any sense. They can't even get along. They got books and piles of rules and regulations. We rule with 5 books. And in those 5 books that we rule, it was just nothing but about being honest. Law is the greatest law. And morality is the 2 greatest pillars of any civilization. Nothing, because everybody wants fairness. Even the devil wants fairness. And you go before a judge and he sees your color and he doesn't administer the law properly. Let me tell you something. These things are serious and they bring about serious consequences. And therefore people say, nothing gonna happen. That's it says, whosoever reward evil for good, evil shall not depart from his house. We have been rewarded such evil in the United States of America. How could evil ever depart from this country? They have murdered the Indians that served them and helped them. We came here, we still helpless people. I'm saying to you, this is Proverbs 17, verse 13, said, whosoever rewarded evil for good, you're gonna trick them. You're gonna make them pay taxes and give them what? Inferior schools. You're gonna degrade them in every way. That is, we are the greatest possession of the United States of America because we serve the country. You can't tell me one of us that sabotage anything in this country. We've never beat on, went in his house, kicked his dog, raped it. We've never done that. They have vilified us and it's not our fault. Stop blaming you because it's not you. You have a job to do. Keep those commandments. Torah is the words of Yahweh that governs the 12 tribes of Israel and strangers that will come among them. So our law was a law that would govern and encourage the best for even those that came among us. You go in the law office, they got books everywhere. How are you adjudicating? What are you saying? You have mixed too many people together. And it shouldn't be that. You have built houses on top of each other that is out for it. The space is small because of the volume of the people. If everybody came out of their homes and came, nobody would be able to move because it was told to us, do not build one on. And like I said, this book of the law that was given to us in 70 AD, when the Romans came and they took the master manuscripts. And this is the master manuscript is this book they call the Bible. And if anyone should advocate to tell the world not to mess with it, is the ones that read it. And they never said nothing to this day. And therefore, Yahweh is very displeased. He's very displeased. That's why he sent those flying saucers. They are the most sophisticated technology that the world has ever seen. And this still is child's play with being you. But that's another subject I can talk to you about. What we were dealing with we were teaching how to be invisible. Do you know what one person can do with an invisible person? So that's what they're doing and all that stuff. It has place for them. But we are on the highest level. And the rest of this is foolishness. You don't scorn it. You don't hate the people. Why? Because you came through it. You have compassion on them. You love them because they have an image of you. You don't dislike them. Because like I said, you don't know who Yahweh is going to bless. So as it says, let's go and understand about our enemies. The 12 tribes of Israel, our enemies, the 12 tribes of Israel. And you shall bring, and Yahweh shall bring you into Egypt again with ships, and there you shall be sold on to your enemies. As Deuteronomy 28, verse 68. And among the nations shall you find no ease, neither shall the soles of your feet have rest. But Yahweh shall give you there a trembling of heart, and a failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. Deuteronomy 28, verse 65. And you shall have no power to stand before your enemies. Leviticus 26, verse 37. And you shall perish among the nations, and the land of your enemies shall eat you up. Leviticus 26, verse 38. And yet for all that, when you be in the land of your enemies, I will not cast them away, neither will I whore them to destroy them utterly, and to break my covenant, for I am Yahweh, their God. So Yahweh is telling you, he said, these are the things that's going to happen to you. These are the things that but I am not. I'm going to make sure that everything going to work out for you. He's telling you, he said, now, we're not here without knowing what tomorrow shall bring. Yahweh's telling you what he is doing. And therefore you can be alert. You see your sons and your daughters and those that are being disobedient to the commandments of Yahweh God, things are happening to them. You said, and it hurts. But what's really happening? Ask yourself, are they listening? Are they listening? Them brothers went out in the street. Yes, they were not very nice. They cursed, they did all, but they told the truth. And the thing about it is a lot of people heard it. And they scoffed at it because of their diplomacy of deliverance. And therefore, do you know Yahweh is beating many of those brothers because they went out? You have to understand, when people come before you, you are the masters of this planet, and you are the royal blood. You are the royal people of this planet. You understand? You have to understand how this thing works. It works in a way that you would never believe. That's why he said to him, because for their sake, I made the world. He said, and I said, is it so, Yahweh? Then said he unto me, even so also is Israel's portion, because for their sake, I made the world. He said, for that's in 2nd Ezra of the Apocrypha. See, you understand, chapter 7. So when he said that, he said, I did this. That's why when Isaac blessed him, what he said, let people serve you and nations bow down to you. Ain't nothing gonna go past that. It was already told. Even when he told Esau, he said, Esau, by your sword you shall rule, but you're gonna still serve your brother. Because he had the master blessing, and that is to this day. That's why Yahweh said, I shall make a new covenant with the house, not after the old covenant, because it was a covenant which is the highest agreement that Yahweh made with us. And he told her, he said, I've loved you with an everlasting. Look, brothers and sisters, we can't lose. No matter how bad it looked. Bad for who? That's what you gotta understand. It ain't bad for you. Not if you read this book. Yahweh told you, he said, I'm not. America is a place of judgment for all nationalities and people. Everybody's here. They're gonna get beat up. I guarantee you this. You know what I'm saying? I guarantee you they're gonna get beat up in this country. Because that's what is happening. When the system cannot address the circumstances, the people are going to look. These are some of the most scariest people I've ever seen in my life. What did Yahweh tell you, Yisra? He said, fear not. He didn't say for them not to fear. Go read the book. It's talking about you. It says, why these disturbing things will continue. When we look at the things, we say, well, why are these things? It said in Job 9, he said, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. Because the wicked are like the troubled sea when it cannot rest, whose waters cast up mar and dirt. There is no peace, said Yahweh to the wicked. This is why it's going to occur. The wicked will have supreme power. And in this supreme power, it will mess up the whole entire planet. This is what it's saying. So it said, I have seen the wicked in great power and spreading itself like a green bay tree. It said in Psalm 73, it says, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. You know, this is his calling. The wicked has let the power of this earth deceive them. You understand? So as it tells you, he said they have been seduced by the prosperity and riches of this planet, knowing that eventually when they leave, it stays here. You know, it doesn't go with them. So the point is, it says in Proverbs 12, verse 16, but the way of the wicked has seduced them. It's just, they can, look, man, like they help us. Man, like all they can do is destroy. Man, you look up, it's always a problem. Because they are problem people. They're not peaceful. But Yahweh was telling you out of this book that you got in your hand that you should read day and night. Because it said the vision of all has come to you in the words of a book. There's nothing on this planet that's not written in that book. Nothing. So they can't hide anything from me. She said the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. The earth. Even in certain places, you have to understand what it's saying. They're going to, wickedness will destroy. That's why he said, the people, if the earth is destroyed, it's going to destroy the people. Now, you got to think about this. How you going to get out of this? Because ain't nobody coming to help us. They're not, I guarantee you. Is it? But the thing is that you got a great book. And it says, lo, this is the man that made not Yahweh his strength, but trust in the abundance of his riches and strengthen himself in wickedness. That's Psalm 52, verse 7. For when he died, he shall carry nothing away. His glory shall not descend after him. When they die, man, they don't get this, man, they go into total, it says, in the same chapter, verse 19, he shall go to the generation of his fathers, they shall never see light. Because of the continuous wickedness that made no sense. If you can go in the Apocrypha, and he told them, he said, the wicked, he did the wicked, he said, I wearied myself in wickedness. Or, you know, he took it as though it was the substance to enter into the next world. The thing about it is that our world, when we keep the commandments, never ends. You're not talking about death. As a Israel, as Yashara Allah and keeping the commandments, death is not. It is a friend to you. It is not a foe. It is not an enemy. You understand what I'm saying? These flying sources, they're not my enemy. I ain't got nothing to do with it. They after somebody else. As long as they ain't after me, I ain't gonna bother with it. Because you have to know where you stand. That's why you wear your zitzes, you on the square. See, the point about it is this. I don't care what nobody say. Unless you get in that book, your college degree ain't gonna save you. Your gangster attitude ain't gonna save you. Your muscles or whatever ain't gonna save you. You have to comply to that which pertaineth that pleases Yahweh God. That's it. It says, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the hearts of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. So they're gonna do evil. That's why he says, in Daniel, he said, but the wicked shall do evil, shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand. They've been seduced. You go there, start talking to them about righteousness. They look at you and say, what did he say? Did he say, go get some food? Did he say that? They don't understand because they haven't gotten pain. That pain is going to change their whole perception. They don't see any adversary against them that they can't handle until those flying saucers. And they beating them. They coming in, robbing everything. Hey, but that's something that why do you think they told you about it now? Why did you think that, man, like, hey, why do you think they said, let's tell the population about some flying saucers? They never want to tell you anytime then, now they telling you it's serious, more than serious, but for who? For who? And I want you to know, they have isolated you, the only people that have the power. That's why it's 12, it's not 13. That's why it's 12. And who had 12? Ishmael and Yashara Allah. That's right. We're the masters of the planet. We are the masters of the oneness that Yahweh God said, Akkad, I'm one with you. We have been absorbed in the Ruach of Yahweh God. But unto the wicked, Yahweh said, what have you to do to declare my statutes, or that you should take my covenant in your mouth? Seeing you hate instructions and cast my word behind you. Yahweh said, you don't want to hear, this, you see them on television, they give a big speech. They may say one thing, but I'm teaching you out of this book, precept upon precept, line upon line, telling you this is your book. There's no other book that will satisfy your appetite other than this book. I don't care how many degrees you're gonna get from the colleges, and I don't tell you don't go to school. But when the master book is this Tanakh, and this Tanakh has everything in it, everything in it. So it says, obeying the Torah keeps you from confusion. When you obey it, you're not in confusion. Wickedness is confusion. What distinguished characteristics is of Yahweh our God. Yahweh God has a distinguished characteristic. Okay, it says, Exodus, for Yahweh your God is a jealous God. That's one of his distinguished characteristics. Your God, Yahweh, is a consuming fire. Yahweh your God is a faithful God, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations. Yahweh is long suffering and of great mercy. and will show mercy unto whom, he said, I will show mercy unto whom I will show mercy. I will make darkness light before them and crooked things straight. These things will I do unto them and not forsake them, the 12 tribes of Israel. He said, I'm not going to forsake you. This is the characteristics of your God. You want to know his character. Is he a faithful God? Is he going to double cross you? You know, I mean, the universe is built on his word. And when you keep the commandments, then, hey, you enter into what? Salvation and eternal life. We are the doorkeepers. Excuse me. It says, Yahweh is righteous in all his ways and holy in all his works. It's telling you his characteristics. Now, let me tell you something. You Israelites, I can't tell you about Yahweh's, and let me go back to give you the verses. Exodus 20, verse 5, for Yahweh is a jealous God. Deuteronomy 4, verse 24, Yahweh is a consuming fire. And that's a very interesting thing, because you cannot enter into that name and you deal with that name unrighteously, it will burn you up. You understand? Deuteronomy 4, verse 24, Yahweh is a consuming fire. Yahweh, your God, is a faithful God, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations. That's Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 9. These are the promises that he has told you. Yahweh is long suffering and of great mercy. Numbers 14, verse 18. And will show mercy on them whom he will show mercy. Exodus 33, verse 19. And I will make darkness light. And he said, I will not forsaken you. That's Isaiah 43, verse 16. Psalm 145, verse 17. He says, anything I do in the balance of righteousness. He's telling you that's some of the characteristics that I've found that distinguish him as a God, what he is. Now, what distinguished characteristics is the 12 tribes of Israel? Now, I would be unfair. It says, and Yahweh said unto Moses, I've seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. This is your characteristics. Now, you know what I'm saying? He says here, for I know that ye would deal very treacherous and was called a transgressor from the womb. Isaiah 48, verse 8. Exodus 32, verse 9. Okay? He says, but the house of Israel will not hearken unto me. He said in Ezekiel, he said, but the house of Israel will not hearken unto me, for they will not hearken on to me. For all the house of Israel are imprudent and hard-hearted. He said, but the house of Israel will not listen or hearken unto me, for they will not hearken unto me. They would not hearken. When he was talking to Ezekiel, he said, I told them, and they didn't listen to me, but I want you to go and tell it. And I'm sure he was kind of confused. But the thing is, there is a great power in telling, even though nobody's listening. Is a great power in telling the truth, no matter who comes. As long as you tell it, it's moving through this earth. It's moving, you understand? So he told him, he said, man, just go and tell him. And he goes on, he said, I will give them one heart, and I will put a new spirit within you, and I will take the stone heart out of their flesh and will give them a heart of flesh. I would say, because I can't walk with them. But Yahweh said something so beautiful. He says, I have loved you with an everlasting love, therefore with loving kindness. He said, even all the characteristics of Israel, I still love them. He said, I don't love them. I love them with an everlasting love. So he told you your characteristics. He said, that's different. They ain't gonna listen, but I want you to go and tell them. I don't care how. Don't worry about they won't listen. The most important thing, you tell them. And you make sure that you tell them and you tell them the truth. And the truth, because let me tell you something. See, the wicked dies. The righteous man go to sleep. There's a difference. So it says, it goes on, it says, if the 12 tribes of Israel will obey Yahweh, he will bypass the oncoming atrocities. These oncoming, all we have to do is just obey Yahweh, listen to him. He's not going to leave, because it says, can two walk together except they agree? Our agreement is in keeping of the commandments of Yahweh God. There's no other way we can do it. If you're not going to, nobody, you can't fight with this, because even in Isaiah 54, verse 7, he said, Israel shall be saved. You're going to be saved. You don't have to worry about, will it happen? Yahweh's already told you, he said, I'm going to save you. And this is why we came into this. We are the offspring that's putting things together. We are laboring. He said, I want you to labor to bring this into existence. I want you to be conscious, and I want you to do it at will. You understand? Because Yahweh told the nations, he said, after the glory have he sent me, Zechariah, onto the nations which spoil you. They double crossed themselves, because when they touched us, they touched the apple of Yahweh's eye. You understand? The point about it is that we who know, that's all that counts. And woe be to anyone that touches us in our journey. I'm telling you, Yahweh is a gracious God, a very gracious God. He's been very kind and generous to America because of us. America has reaped great benefits because we are what? The chosen. And Yahweh said, let me mix my people so that they will have a chance for eternal life. The Amorites didn't come. Yahweh said, they're never coming into the congregation because they didn't come to serve you. People that don't serve you and me, woe be unto them. Leave us alone. And you, Israel, must learn to be very kind to each other. You must learn to be very kind. I remember one Israelite told, he said, we're going to kill niggas like you. Yeah, another Israelite told that to me. We are a people of such greatness that, and if you can't see it, why do you expect anybody else to see it? Yahweh told, he said in Genesis 27, verse, he said, let people serve you and nations bow down to you. When the nations did not do what they were supposed to and put their hands on it, they cut their own throat. Who was the adversary? Esau and Ishmael. But this has been from the very time, who did the first murder? Where was it? It was in that. It was in, they were brothers. In the house, our house, many times, the two sons or the daughters, they fight, they want to argue because everything starts in the house. And many times you got to separate them so one go another way, another way. If you can't get along in Israel, if you can't get along with another Israelite, you can't get along with Yahweh God. Then you don't understand your prestige. You haven't sat down to monitor your own self. You understand? So have love for each other. So I want you to know this. when the nations participated in raping the 12 tribes of Israel, it was by wickedness, not by the strength. They weren't taking advantage of a strong people because it was their wickedness. They didn't have to do that because we were totally a people that nobody was going to help. Yahweh said, I gave them into your hands and you showed them no mercy. Yahweh said, they were helpless. And you just raped them, hung them, castrated them. Oh, that's all right, because they didn't see, because punishment is not expedient. The strength of the 12 tribes of Israel is the words of Yahweh their God. That's our strength, his word. The great weapon of the 12 tribes of Israel is time and the word of Yahweh God. Time is our greatest weapon, and the word of Yahweh is based on those two things. Time and Yah's word. As it goes, he said, my word that goeth out, it shall not come back unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I send it. So Yahweh is telling you how things work. When Habakkuk or Habakkuk came there, he said, wrong judgment precedes the wicked, encompass the righteous. And Yahweh said, yeah, I know. All of this is for an appointed time. Go back and read it. This book tells the whole entire story. I can tell you everything that's coming. Massive earthquakes. But it ain't got nothing to do with me. See, you got to understand. When you enter into the house of righteousness, that is your total protection. And you can't bring your children in it if they don't want to listen. That's why it's in Isaiah chapter 40, verse 8, the grass withered, the flower faded, but the word of Yahweh, your God, shall stand forever. Forever. See, we have to know this. We have to know where our strength lies. It says, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of our mouth. It shall not return unto me void. It shall accomplish that which I send it. Yahweh said, so when you follow the word of Yahweh, it's only going to turn out the way his word that he sent it. It's not going to turn. If he told them, y'all should not be dealing with men. And if they thought it was that really something of great value, then they get an island and put 50 men on there and they all die off and nobody said, and be fruitful and multiply. That is right before your eyes. There's nothing gonna happen in there. So what it is, and let us make man in our image and our like, the highest image is man and woman, not man and man. You offset the electromagnetic field of this whole planet by doing that. The 12 tribes of Israel is the force of that 12 tribes of Israel. We holding this planet together because we are one with Yahweh God. Hear, O Israel, the Lord Yahweh, your God. He said, Shema Yisrael. I want to say something to you. I want you to listen, Israel. I want you to listen to who Yahweh. Then he said, I want to tell you who I'm your God, Yahweh is one. That's a beautiful statement, man. Man is beautiful. Baruch Hashem, praise the holy name, Yahweh Elohim. That's what it is, a statement. Baruch Hashem, Baruch, praise what? The name, the name. If you turn it around, it also means Moshe, the name.
Baruch Hashem, Yahweh Elohim.
And that's what you do. Because he's calling you. He's saying, I want you to bless the name. So how are you going to bless the name if you don't know the name? So when they tell you, look, I remember when I first, I don't know no Hebrew, but I'm comfortable with it. And I'm telling you, we're the masters of this planet. And I want y'all to know that. And I want you to live up to and keep those commandments. And we should encourage each other. Brother, how you doing? How's the family? Are y'all keeping that Shabbat? You know, we all have children. We have circumstances with our children, with our wives, with us. Man, let me tell you something. I was in a little room one time in my life, and I was crying, but I was keeping that Shabbat. And that room became a palace, just to God have the truth. When you take the word of Yahweh God that lives in you, he will make everything around you new, because Yahweh, the Ruach, doesn't live in swallow. Organize your house, organize your place, clean your floors, but make it acceptable, and learn to be humble, because that's your status in life. Because Yahweh is your total protector. He ain't gonna let nothing happen to you. I guarantee he's not gonna let nothing happen to you. Don't let nothing happen to you by your own misconduct. So Yahweh said, I was wroth with my people. I have polluted my inheritance and given them into your hands. You did show them no mercy. Upon the ancient had you very heavily laid the yoke. And in Isaiah 54 verse 7, he says, for a small moment have I forsaken you, but with great mercy will I gather you. So these are the things Yahweh said, you're gonna be all right. I gave the nations, I gave you into their hands. They were not very nice to you, but I'm going to gather you, and I'm going to bring you into total peace. And as it says there, when he told him, he said, I'm going to bring you into total peace. I'm going to make sure that things work out so beautiful for you. We will build cities under the oceans. We will visit distant galaxies on vacation, and we will have picnics in the sun. You are a phenomenal people. And the science of how things work, Yahweh will teach. Do you know that if they were very obedient, Yahweh could show them how they can take this radioactive material and actually neutralize it? Yes. You might be able to neutralize it with this pepper. But Yahweh ain't gonna show them nothing, because they were evil, nasty, vicious to you. And one of the things that they did to you, it held it back and said, how you gonna do this to a people that is totally helpless? They came here and you despise them when you could have just put them back where you got them from. So when he told them, it shall enter into the house of the thief, they stole you. They took your language, your customs, and they did horrible things to you. And if it's not for this book, you wouldn't like yourself, because they never told you and taught you to like you. But now you have a book. Go in it. Look at the book. Yahweh is so beautiful. He says, he told Israel, he said, Israel, I'm going to tell you where I'm going to be. And again, the word of Yahweh of hosts came to me saying, thus said Yahweh of hosts. See, now remember who's bringing those flying saucers? Yahweh of hosts. He's bringing them in. He said, I'm going to bring it in. He's opening up the door that they can come in and beat on. He says, I was jealous for Zion with great jealousy, and I was jealous for her with great fury. Thus said Yahweh, I am returned unto Zion and shall dwell in the midst of Jerusalem, and Jerusalem be called a city of truth. Yahweh even told you where he's going to be. He didn't say he's going to be in no heaven. Where it said that? He said, I'm going, where's Jerusalem at? He said, I'm going to be right there. That's where I'm coming. And I'm going to dwell in the midst of it. I just got finished reading it to you. Happy, O Israel. He told him, he says that he will dwell in the midst of you. Yahweh loves us. He ain't going up no heaven. Ain't nothing in no heaven. Yahweh loves Israel. He loves us. You understand? He ain't no God that's far from. He created us. He said, I created them for my what? Glory. And as he said, I send the nations that have what? Spoiled my glory, robbed me of my people. And then when I gave them to, they were what? Obnoxious, rude to the royal people of the earth. Now, my brothers and sisters, challenge me that everything I said, that's not true about you. Everybody else has said certain bad things about you. This is the greatest that has been written down out of the mouth of Yahweh God about you, that he loves you, he cares about you. No matter all the circumstances that you've gone through, he loves you. I love them with an everlasting love, and I shall dwell in the midst of them. Man, that's some heavy stuff. He said, I've only known you. He said, I don't know nobody else. Do you know him? You understand? He said, I only got acquainted with you. I told you my name. It's some powerful stuff. And don't think they don't know it. We don't hate them. They hate themselves. And this is the difference. When you can, maybe if we hated them, we could apologize. We can't be apologetic because we ain't do nothing. And just like their children tell them, I didn't sin one day out there in the desert with the great prophet Moses. I was not there. And he'll tell you, he said, I never had no slaves. And he's right. And neither did I sin, but I'm responsible to put this thing together. I'm responsible. And just like he knew a great harm was done, he's responsible to have put it back. As it says in Exodus 4, verse 22, it said, Israel is my son, even my firstborn. That's what he said, you only have I known of all the families of earth. God said, I didn't know nobody else but you. Amos 3, verse 2. For I am a father to Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn. He is establishing how, so you don't get confused with other things. He's established, he said, but Israel should be saved in Yahweh with an everlasting salvation. He is telling you, though it gets rough, the turbulence has nothing to do with you. You will behold the reward of the wicked, but it shall not come nigh unto you. What are you scared of? They're going to do it anyway. Excuse me. Yahweh is the creator of good action and bad action. I formed the light and created darkness. I made peace and created evil. I, Yahweh, do all things. Our God is the creator of it all. He said, but the people that attack the 12 tribes of Israel are not brave. They are troubled with fear. How will you know this? How will you know this is the right direction for you? How will you know this is the right direction for you? It will only fit you. That's why you know. It won't fit nobody else. It won't fit nobody else. Everybody will be trying. It won't fit them. That's how you know that you're Israel. It only fits you. You're the only people in the United States of America as captives. No other book that you got that will tell you about you other than this book. If you took the New Testament out, if they gave you the New Testament, you would never find out that you're Israel. You found out it in what they call the Old Testament. And you found out that you found out the name of your God, you found out who you are, you found out your destiny on this planet forever. So what is your problem? The problem was how it was being taught. And how, and being that many times, this is what I've found, how it was being taught and the attitude of the people. You gotta listen. Yahweh appointed Moses to come in and he had an impairment. And nobody knows how it's hard to listen to somebody that stutters. But he was the only one that had the power. The Ruach was not dealing with nobody else but him. And when he got out there, the men rose up. They rose up. You ain't do nothing when you was in there. We have to understand our position is very important. Yahweh has given, like he said, among the tribes of Israel, that woman, that man, that Yahweh will give a direction that he will tell and say, my children, my beloved daughters, come sit down. Everything is fine. Just sit down and shut up. You all right. God said, man, I'm out here and I ain't got no protection. Your Zadik is your protection. Your righteousness to obey the commandments of your God. If that's not enough, would you gonna get a gun? They got robots. They'll kick down your door, come in there, snatch you up, beat you up, take your heart out. Robots. So I'm saying to you, I want you to know that if these things don't fit you, please go find something that does, because you're in trouble. Go find something that will give you the total strength to survive the oncoming. And this is why I'm telling you, Yahweh's gonna put us in the midst of the fire. And he says, don't worry about it, it ain't gonna burn you. Don't worry about the flood, it ain't gonna overflood you. Don't worry about the earthquake, you ain't gonna fall in it, because I'm going to move. This earth is so nasty. Do you know this is the only time on this planet that everybody's connected? Yes. By your cell phone. This is the only time on the planet that it has been such accurate communication. There's never been nothing like this on the planet. And I will, the art of dropping bombs is with such precision. Planes all up in the air, 10 miles up, dropping bombs, looking down on people. It has never been like the warfare. It's been so dealt with such precision. Your communication, they got big computers that compute everything you say. They know you. But the point is, they don't know themselves. And that's bad. While they looking over at my house and telling me how bad I did one day, I said, let me look over the fence. When I looked over, I said, oh my God, these people, and they have disguised things. But in their house is all messed up because they've been rattling in my house. And there's nothing in my house that they need to know because they know everything about me. But their real problem is themselves. We are living in a time where people will not listen or adhere to the signs just because they have forgotten the evil, wicked they have done and pass it to their offspring that they believe they won't be punished for it. As it says in Isaiah 14, verse 21, prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of his fathers. Now that's written. I didn't write that. See, you're not going to get away with anything. I didn't get away. I can show you. That's why I know exactly who we are. I know exactly what we're supposed to do. Keep those commandments. Go in there, keep that Shabbat. Prepare to wear your zitzes. Do the things as the Ruach, you understand, will tell you. Listen to that spirit, because when you start obeying, that Ruach will whisper in your ears. Things will just work out for you. It's not about everybody. You can get everybody in foolishness, but you ain't getting them in righteousness, because righteousness, you have to go into you and take the dirt that's in you so that you can have compassion on your brothers as they're traveling that journey. I can't look out there because everything I see out there, I was involved in. Now, if I can come up to the brothers, shalom, my brother. You know, like I said, I go and I really try to help. And I'm saying just because I go and feed them, that doesn't really help me. I want to do more. So the Spirit gave me something. I like to read it to you. It says, if you are serious, then you can help yourself. Do you believe in yourself? Do you believe in the words that come out of your mouth to change things? Then if so, you can free yourself. When you free yourself, do not come back. And if by chance, help someone else with the same thing that you help yourself with. And it's called self-help. And I'll be passing it to, because, you know, I meet people, you know, they down, and I want them to know your mouth, your conviction to change the course by doing something that and setting it right in your own being can make a difference. When you work with you work with the universe. So it says righteousness is the perfection of action of goodness that is taught in Torah. In righteousness, you shall be established. See, you have to establish yourself in righteousness. You understand? You know, it's not coming. Isaiah 54, verse 14. You're not going to say Torah is set before the 12 tribes of Israel, life or death. That's what the Torah is. Is it, see, I've set before you this day life and good and death and evil. That's what it said there. It's either you're going to keep it to live or you're going to die. You understand? So that's Jeremiah 21, verse 8, Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 15. That's what the Torah is. The Torah is life or death. Now, how are we judged? I will render to every man according to his works. That's how you judge. Like you say, man, what is your works? The most perfect of all works is obeying the commandments. That's Proverbs 24, verse 28. Also unto you, Yahweh, belong mercy, for you render to every man according to his works. So that's how Yahweh, so when we keep the commandments of Yahweh, we're having a union. That's Psalm 62, verse 12. For you will render unto man his righteousness. Yahweh will render to you your righteousness. Brothers and sisters, I don't know what else I can say that's better than this. I'm telling you how to work, how you make things work. You don't need me, you need Yahweh. And if you in Yahweh, I'm in Yahweh, then we're one. You just said you can't get away from me. I can't get away from you. Akkad is one and one, whether you wherever you are, I am. Wherever I am, you are. Because it's that one purpose to that one destiny is to serve Yahweh God in righteousness. It says, though these three men, Noah, Daniel, and Job, were in it, they should deliver but their own souls by what? Their righteousness. My brothers, what I'm telling you how to do it. It doesn't exempt me from it. I'm working day and night. You said this is telling you exactly on these pages how to have eternal salvation. And you know what I'm saying? You got the book, go read it. My comprehension ain't that good. I could be wrong, but help me out. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahweh our God as he commanded us. That's how you make it work. No matter what happens in your life, you keep these commandments, it'll be fine. It'll fine. I don't care what happens. You come together, you talk to each other, you encourage each other. You know what I'm saying? Yahweh expects that of us. Now the rabbi is 98 years old. Y'all should call him, pay him a visit. You know, he's the oldest rabbi, and he's 98, he'd be what, 99. And he's a pious man. Go and ask him for a prayer. He is a great man. I lived with him. I came out of Rabbi Bibbin School, you know, One West, and Rabbi Bibbins was a great and phenomenal teacher. And he was always there. You know, my congregation of Yah and me, the last two that are visible from that school of Israel Tanakh is myself and Rabbi Yaakov. So it said all nations are judged by the way they treated the royal family of the earth, the 12 tribes of Israel. All nations are judged by how they treated us. For many nations and great kings shall serve themselves of them also. And I will recompense them according to their deeds and according to the works of their own hands. This is how it's done. This is, it's written right there for everybody said. And Yahweh says in Zechariah 1 verse 15, he says, I am very sore displeased with the, it says heathens, but in Hebrew is nations, that are at ease, for I was but a little displeased, and they heaped forward the affliction. Our affliction was done. They just carried it on and on and on and on to this very day. He said, the nations shall come unto you. And see, they all gonna bow at our feet. And the nations shall come unto you from the ends of the earth, and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanities, and things wherein there is no profit. See, they're gonna confess this stuff before you. Why? Because they took total 100% advantage of you, and it wasn't necessary. It was not necessary for what they have done to us to this day. It wasn't. It was not. Totally helpless people on this earth. And I will also gather all nations and will bring them down to the valley of judgment, Jehoshaphat, and I will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and what? Parted my land. Job 3 verse 2. Therefore fear ye not, my servant Jacob, said Yahweh, neither be dismayed, Israel, for I will save you from afar and your seed from the land of their captivity. And Jacob shall return and shall be in rest and be quiet, and for I am with you, said Yahweh, to save you, though I make a full end of all nations, whether I have scattered you. Yet will I not make a full end of you, but I will correct you in measure and will not leave you altogether unpunished. This is the document of how it's going to work. He said, I'm going to, because all of them was when Ishmael and Esau got together in Psalm 83, they launched a bliss campaign that they would destroy Israel, our own brother, because that's where it comes in-house. And we, you think, gonna destroy this country in-house? Has nothing, I mean, you just read the book. The book tells you the whole story. It has nothing to do with me. The average Black person don't know nothing. We don't know, what do we know? We don't know where no missiles are at. We don't know no master codes. We don't know anything. They listen to all, they know all your conversations because they listen to you. So the point is, they know you are helpless people, but Yahweh is displeased because of how they have continuously treated us. For lo, the day come and said Yahweh, that I will bring again, the captive of my people, Israel and Judah, said Yahweh, and I will cause them to return to that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it. We will return back to our land. Yahweh was telling you, he said, I'm going to return them back to the land. And that's Jeremiah 30, verse 30, Jeremiah 30, verse 3, Jeremiah 30, verse 10 to 11, Job 3, chapter 3, verse 2. So we're going to return to our land. And Yahweh your God will bring you onto the land which your fathers possessed. And you shall possess it, and he will do you good and multiply you above your fathers. These are words you need to hold on to, because they're your words, because Yahweh rules the whole entire universe by his word. He said, I shall not alter the things that have gone out of my mouth. He said, Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 5. And I will multiply you, men and beasts, and they shall increase and bring fruit. And I will settle you after your old estate. And I will do better unto you than at the beginning. And you shall know that I am Yahweh. This is beautiful. He said, man, we will visit distant galaxies on a vacation. We will build cities under the ocean, and we will build cities in the sky. We will have picnics in the sun. We are a perfect people. Be ye perfect as I'm perfect. That's what Yahweh said, in obeying his commandments. The word of Yahweh is the shield of the 12 tribes of Israel. The 12 tribes of Israel has only one guarantee to be saved. Return to Yahweh, your God, and keep all the commandments. If the 12 tribes of Israel obey all the commandments of Yahweh their God, they will be able to pass through the fires, the waters. This is child's play. When you pass through the waters, I shall be with you. And through the rivers, they shall not overflow you. When you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned, neither shall the flames kindle upon you. And I will bring the blind by a way that they know not. I will lead them in the path that they have not known. I will make darkness light before them and crooked things straight. These things will I do unto them and not forsake them. Behold, I will bring them from the north country and gather them from the crust of the earth. And with them, the blind, the lame, the woman with child, and her that traveled with child, together a great company shall return. My brothers and sisters, I want to thank you for your time. My spirit is uplifted because I know these words are true. I send you the best of the best. When you sit and dine at this great and awesome table of words, and we should eat angels' food. Nakamawa, Nakamawa, Naya, Yamara, Alahaya Kama, the Barawat La Laba, Yarawa Shalama, Kurawa Ala Yahat, Kayamalaha. This ba'a kaya nara tisha apanaha kaya lakwaha mayada yahawaha kapala yama bakala kata kataata yaha. Comfort ye, my people, said Yahweh. Speak ye comfortably to Jerusalem and cry unto her that her warfare is accomplished and her sin has been pardoned. For she has received double for all her sins. Yahweh God is a great God. Please, my brothers and sisters, we're not going to lose this. We're not going to lose. Don't worry about it. You take care and you pray. And you ask Yahweh and talk to him. Please, my brothers and sisters, he loves us. Barawaka Yahweh Kaya Shama Koala Nakana Wanaya Yahweh At Zaya Wamaganaya Bawa Pataha Labaya Wanaza Rataya Wayat Lazalabaya Wamasha Uriah Aha Wadanawa. Blessed be Yahweh because he has heard the voice of our prayer. Yahweh is our strength and our shield. Our heart trusts in him. And I am helped, therefore my heart greatly rejoiced. And with my song will I praise him and bless you and your family and your endeavors. And may all those that have set around you to do evil, Abrakala Paniya Shalakana Nakada Tisvaraya Tishanata Bashamana Rashaya Kawasaya Rawaya Akata Wababa Kasada Yarada Pavanaya Kalaya Maya Kaya Yawa Shabadaya Abayata Yahawalara Kaya Maya Ma. Yahweh, you're not going to hide. Yahweh prepares a table in the presence of our enemy. Yahweh has anointed our head with oil, as our cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow us all the days of our lives, and we shall dwell in the house of Yahweh forever. Yahweh Rakaka Yahweh Hawaii Shamaraka. Yahweh Yahweh Benaya Walayaka. Wayakanaka Yasha'a Yahweh Benaya Walayaka Wayashama Laka Shalawama. Yisrael, Yahweh bless you and keep you. Yahweh make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yahweh lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Wayata na lakala hayama matala shamayama. Wamashamanaya ratis rabba dadana. Wata yurachaya padabaka mayama wayishada kawala. La kala mayama hawaha gabayura. La khayaka wayishada kawawa la kabanaya maka hara harayaka hara hara mama barakayaka marabaka. And may the Elohims give you of the dew of heaven, Israel, and plenty in the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve you and nations bow down to you. Be Lord over thy brethren and let thy mother's son bow down to you. Cursed be those that curse you, Israel, and blessed be those that bless you. I want to thank you for your time. And don't forget the Ruach so you won't be forgotten. And I want to thank you so much. And Butterfly, thanks again. And all those that are participants, I thank you with all my heart. Shalom Aleichem.
Alaikum shalom.